Get ready to feel
the power.
This is Colin Crandall over there, and myself, Adam Roorda, with another amazing episode of MMA Power Hour. Super stoked to have you guys here to catch us with these amazing guests that Colin will be interviewing today. We've got Michelle Waterson, Colin Anglin, and Dustin Jacoby. Super excited to have all three guests on. We were going to have Frank Trigg. Some of you probably saw that promoted, but unfortunately he has another obligation that he's got to take care of. We did get a little bit of a notice, so we do apologize for getting everybody excited, but what we'll do is make sure to bring him back here in the next
few weeks, possibly next week. We're working it out.
Okay.
He had an obligation that went long unexpectedly. And, so we should see him again soon. Always good to talk to Frank.
Absolutely.
This is the fastest 2 hours on television. Talking about fast as Adam was coming into things. Fastest 2 hours on television. Guaranteed. It feels like only an hour when it's done. You wish there was more. It's like potato chips or, your favorite food or your favorite girlfriend. You wish there was more time. No more time to enjoy that food or that person. So that's what we try to be here. And we're going to bring you a lot of fun entertainment and great MMA analysis. So don't be surprised if you're not careful, you might learn something. That was from an old 1970s TV show. See if anyone can identify what show. It's a cartoon. Started out with a guy and then it was a cartoon. If you're not careful, you just might learn something. So that is one of our thoughts here. We're so happy to be coming at you on this beautiful February 24th, coming near to the end of the month of February into March in 2021. Man, it seemed like just yesterday it was like January, and we're going fast. Hopefully things are getting better.
Way too fast, Colin.
Yeah, it really is. It's a fast year, but hopefully it's going to be a better year than 2020. So hopefully you guys and girls are hanging in there and seeing some improvements. If not, keep having the faith and doing everything that you can. And
somebody thinks I'm
Dave Portnoy, or am I Dave Portnoy? One of us is Dave Portnoy. No such luck here. But I think as well as the great work that Dave does on his Barstool Sports, this is going to be like Fight Stool. Consider this like Fight Stool Sports, because we are in the thick of fighting even more than anyone else. Hell yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. Is that Oreo or Dreo? Dread. It's hard to see the letters. Thank you, Dread. Appreciate you being here, brother. And Dr. Adam Roorda, do you want to do any thanking, or do we?
Well, of course, every week want to thank our primary sponsor at the very least, and a partner. They're not just a sponsor; they are a partner. They are helping us out by providing a bunch of marketing, actually helping get word out. And actually, on that note, I want to give a huge shout out to the Hannibal TV, Hannibal over there, doing a great job, partnering up with us as well, helping get word out. You got a lot of you are watching via that way. saying Dread saying I'm Andy Dick's son now.
Dread, you're killing it. While you're thinking that, a real quick shout out to Daniel Alexander, one of our longest supporter. He's watching from, I think, a PlayStation where he can't comment, otherwise he would be in the thick of things. Amazing guy. This guy knows pro wrestling and MMA. Other than Hannibal, probably the second most out there, and maybe even a tie. Daniel Alexander, big respect to your friend and a great supporter of our show. We appreciate you. Anyway, continue with that, because our sponsors are super important, and this first one is amazing. The products she produces are incredible. They really work, and Dr. Adam Roorda, finish it off with the great.
Absolutely. Not only do they work, they really help revitalize your body when you're coming off a workout. They help with killing the pain, soothing the pain, as well as helping bring your chemical balance to the right levels, and it's through Nesa's Hemp. You can go to mmaph.nesas hemp to get yourself the highest quality full spectrum hemp on the market, and you can get it at a nice discount. Again, that's mmaph, and then you see it on the screen right there right now. It says nesashemp.com. Make sure you put mmaph before that, and you'll be able to get a nice hefty discount that you won't be able to get anywhere else.
Absolutely, really good stuff. And for Dread, you might want to check that out. Your pH might be out of whack. That might be causing some of these these comments. No, just kidding with you. But appreciate your Oreo Dread or whatever the hell it is. Or thank you. I can't see the letters. Anyway, yeah, Nesa is really serious. Her products are checked, rechecked using the highest quality, and it does work. There's some products out there that have CBD only that may not do anything. With the CBDA and all the care they put into it, you can even smell the fact that it is live ingredients. It is not just some crap that like some other people put out there. So Nesa's Hemp is really the good stuff. Anyway, we still have a minute or two, and so yeah, 2 or 3 minutes. So yeah, and then we also want to thank the great guys over there at Mocha Tribe. Join the tribe if you like mocha and you like coffee. You'll love Mocha Tribe, right, Doc?
100%. And make sure to go on over to mymochatribe.com, get yourself a nice 10% discount on checkout, and utilize the discount code MMA10 and you get that 10% off. And yeah, I mean, it's some of the best coffee you'll ever have.
Absolutely, really true. And so also, do we have any comments from Marcus? I can't see because of the odds there.
Nope, not yet.
Nothing yet? Okay. Anyway, we've got a great show coming at you, and feel free to ask questions. If you ask questions, we will try to get to them. And if you're asking questions of the guests, that could be some fun. We can give you a chance to interact directly with the guests. I think we're one of the few shows that are doing that. Maybe there's some more coming out there, but we are excited about giving you the chance to do that. And we can't get to every question. And if a question does not seem appropriate or respectful, certainly we're not going to ask that to our guests. But anything that does not fall into that category, ask away, and we will ask the guests as many questions as we can. Anyway,
this Dread guy's cracking me up, man. He's got some great comments over on YouTube. It's awesome.
This is killer. No, it's true. Dread, you're on a roll. I like it, man. You got some humor. You're killing the doctor.
Andrew Dick and Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase
I
combination. I love it. Yeah.
It.
I've often been kind of told I could be looking a little bit like a short Chevy Chase. You know, he's about 6'5". But anyway, thank you though, Dread, for that unsolicited contribution. We appreciate it. Thank you though for the good stream and appreciate the compliment. Dr. Adam Roorda, if you want to get started on that first guest, then that would be awesome. We are expecting him. He's expecting us probably in a minute or two. And if you want to get onto that,
I mean, he's ready to go once we are. I think he's ready actually. If you want to go ahead and give him a call, our first guest
do it.
here.
Let's get that Skype dance going.
Excellent Skype dance, baby. Skype dance. Make sure to get that Skype dance in there.
Gotta do it.
We'll see. There he is.
Hey, Colin, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. All we need you to do, perfect. You hit the video button right away. And as long as you see yourself on the screen, you'll be good. Then afterward, you'll be able to see the show. We'll be doing a split screen, alternating screen. Everything will look great. We are live now. So let me go out and throw out this intro. This is going to be the first time we've had this next guest on our show, joining a show featuring lots of UFC champions and top contenders. We have a hot prospect on once in a while. If it's someone that we hear really great things about, and we've heard great things about this man, coming off of an amazing win in Dana White's Contender series. 3 things I love about this guy. He can really fight. His name is Colin, like mine, and he comes out of the state of Michigan, like myself. Love to welcome Mr. Colin Anglin. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. My pleasure. So it's good to talk to you, man. I heard some great things about you. One of the things that I noticed, Colin, which is interesting, is if you look at your amateur career as well as your pro career, you started out being the submission guy who was subbing everyone, and then all of a sudden you're knocking out everyone instead. Was that deliberate, or what do you think caused that to be the case?
Yeah, so I wrestled my whole life. And when I got into MMA, you know, it's pretty much all I knew was wrestling. So I, you know, the fight would start and I would try to stand up with someone for a little bit, but it always just ended up like me, you know, shooting, taking them down and getting the sub. And then like as time went on, it was sort of like a
transition kind of
a goal, sort of like a goal. Like I needed to get more comfortable on my feet, you know, like my coaches at the time kept telling me, try to stand up with this guy for a little while. Like, we need to get you, you're good on your feet, so just trust it. And so I started standing up a little bit more, and I've always loved like the brawl and like getting in it, with somebody. And when I started standing up with people, it just was like, yeah, I just love the feeling of like of getting hit, and then like feeling that, like, like getting hit pumps me up, makes me want to move forward, and getting the shit with the guy. And so, like, just over time, yeah, I continually try to work on my stand up, get more comfortable, and then now I get the takedown if I need to, but I like to keep it standing for as long as I need to.
Very cool. That's always a good thing when you see someone that was a wrestler progress to being comfortable with their striking. And one thing I know that is this, a lot of people don't know, is I think even guys that grew up with wrestling, that grew up in Michigan, most guys had some kind of a punching bag somewhere in their house or basement, right? Did you?
Oh, yeah.
I imagine you did too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
From like a very early age.
Exactly. So it's like, even though it's not like you were training like professionally, or it's not like you were ever a boxer, at least kind of having that, experience of having done it as a kid, I think helps. Because I think there's some guys not in Michigan that just grew up wrestling, and like probably like in Iowa, with all respect to Iowa, they're so wrestling focused. I wouldn't be surprised if none of them had a punching bag in their house, right? And so I think in Michigan, you guys have that advantage. Okay, my buddy, my producer's from Iowa, and he's indicating that some Iowans had some punching bags. Yeah, a lot of them. Okay, well, not as many as Michigan though. But anyway, man, we got a compliment from one of our viewers who loves the stream, and absolutely, he's also wanting you to be careful of the striking because of brain damage. The bottom line though, to this viewer who's trying to help you out and warn you, I'm sure you are aware of that, and it's like, in reality, I think the only way to avoid striking exchanges is if someone can make their career like Khabib, who just has this amazing pressure grappling. But even Khabib gets hit, so I think there's really no way around it. Right? But I mean, I think the whole thing. Go ahead. What's your thought on that, Colin?
Oh, you're right, but at the same time, I mean, you're getting hit every day, because I guarantee Khabib, even though he's such a strong wrestler and that's always his goal is to wrestle, I guarantee he's working, constantly working on his striking and sparring and stuff like that at the gym. So it's just, I mean, this is a sport where you get hit in the face, you know what I mean? So you can't really avoid it. And if you're not, if you come out of a fight unscathed, you probably just went through a tough training camp where you got hit in the head a lot. And even though it's, with your training partners, and you're not trying to hurt each other, even just getting hit like 50%, over time it's probably gonna have some effect.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think one of the things that we know now for combat sports athletes is to at least not be trying to knock each other out. I remember hearing back in the day, like in Brazil, the shoot-to-box team with Vanderlei Silva and Anderson Silva, Pele Landy, and guys like that were literally knocking each other cold,
Yeah.
And I think right, and I think that's not happening that much anymore, unless it's an accident in training, is it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't see that. Every gym I've ever been to is super respectful, and that's always a main concern, because these are your training partners. These people are trying to get you better. They're your friends, family. So neither of you want to hurt each other or cause long-term damage.
Exactly, and I think that's important. Fighting smarter and being safer, but yet still training hard. So tell us about your win a few months back in Dana White's Contender series. I know you had a very tough opponent. I think it was a Russian and these guys are just almost tough. Every single one of them is a tough guy. And I know that you always want to try to stop a fight. You've got some good stoppages by both KO and submission. And I know you tried. Were you trying the whole time to get this guy out of there, or did you at some point realize that this is just another really, really high-level athlete like yourself who was not going to be taken out?
Yeah, I mean, I fought Muhammadjan Naimov, and he was he was a really tough opponent. I knew he was a really good striker, and I just I don't go in and immediately look for the knockout. I like to feel the guy out a little bit, and I like to, just kind of like see what he's all about. And in that first round, I faced a little adversity. He hit me with some good stuff, and but after that first round, I remember sitting down with my coach, and I was just like, I think I'm gonna knock this guy out. Like, I just had I was landing some good shots to end that first round, and I really figured him out pretty quick. And I mean, I was definitely trying to put him away. I was hitting him with some really hard shots and precise shots, and I mean, props to him for just like, I mean, he got wobbled quite a few times, but he never went down.
Yeah.
It did turn into a brawl, but I like that. So it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I know my Michigan brothers absolutely like a brawl. We like the action, stepping
Yes,
into the
sir.
fire, right? It's definitely something we love. Did you have confidence after that performance that you would get the UFC contract like you did, or were you uncertain and just kind of on pins and needles afterward?
Immediately after, I like, my coach ran in, gave me a hug, and I was like, I just kept asking, like, did I do enough? Did I do enough? Do you think I did enough? And I remember, like, throughout the fight, sometimes you can hear like certain things, and especially in the UFC Apex. I mean, it was like dead silent. So like, there were a few times, and I knew where Dana was sitting. So there were a few times where I heard him, like, after I'd land a big shot, I could hear him like yell something, or like, I don't know, yell something or do something. And then I looked over at the end of the fight, and he was on his feet, giving us a round of applause. So I felt like pretty confident when I saw him. Sorry, that was my dog shaking.
No problem. No problem.
I saw him. Yeah, when I saw him giving us a standing ovation, I was pretty confident. And then when I walked by him, he was he had really good things to say. And yeah, I mean, but at the same, he, like I said, he was super impressed with me, and I could tell that before he made his decision. But at the same time, it's always kind of a toss up on Dana White's Contender Series.
Yep, it's true. You never know if you got it or you didn't.
Yeah.
And then you announced.
And there's a few other 45ers on that card too, and I didn't watch any of them, so I didn't know how they did, or I wasn't really sure.
And it must have been a great feeling when you heard that that you're in, huh?
Absolutely. It's still a little bit crazy to me. Obviously it's settled in, and but when he first told me to go get my contract, I was just in awe. It felt very surreal. That was a dream that I had, like, 10 years ago, and that, when I started, or it was like 8 years ago when I started, and then, but even before that, growing up as a kid watching the UFC, that was like my dream. and then you know, to turn that dream into a goal, and then to turn that goal into a reality, it just it was I was at a loss for words.
Absolutely, I can imagine a long journey. And let's go back in time to when you started thinking about that. It sounds like you started to be an MMA fan right when you were about 18, or was it earlier than that?
Yeah, so I started watching MMA. I started watching like the UFC when I was in, I think, like sixth grade. So that'd be what, like
12, 13 years old.
12, 13 years old. Yeah. And I remember, you know, like Andre Arlovsky was like one of my favorite guys to watch. And just, I don't even know why. It could have just been the looks, or you know.
Yeah, he was cool.
He's yeah, yeah.
Pitbull.
And so I was always a fan. You know, me and my dad and, you know, a few of my friends, we'd always go to B-dubs and watch the fights throughout high school. And then when I when I turned 18 is when I started when I took my first fight.
Nice. And so you've been in it for a while, so you've definitely paid your dues, and at 28 you're right there just starting your prime, so this is really a perfect time, right, to get in there. Sometimes I think when guys get in at 23, 24, majority of them don't last, you know. A very few of them kill it, but just the maturity, the pressure, and not only that, but you know, when you, like, a lot of people that are young, they don't think about the difference in strength, but I bet if you look at your physical strength now compared to when you were 18 or even 21, it's probably a pretty good deal better, and you're probably a good deal stronger and more physically mature as compared to then, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. When you know, when I took my first fight, I wasn't even like I wasn't even training at a gym, so you know, and it wasn't even like, I didn't even really think that it was going to be anything special, you know.
Right.
Like I didn't think it was going to be like a career.
Right.
You know, I was like, I was going to college, I was doing all this stuff. But yeah, just like the maturity, you know, like I think that maturity is such a big deal in this game. Like you said, you've seen a lot of young guys get in, and they have, you know, a short career, or they're cut and then they're brought back in later on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just think that it's I think it's just super important to have that maturity, that poise, especially when you're in the cage.
Yeah, without a doubt, it helps tremendously, and you know, you don't have to end up being cut and come back later, and you know, you can just get started in the career right when you're ready. I mean, you know, that's one of the things, all of us when we're 18 or 21 are pointing out people like John Jones or whoever, pointing out the exceptions, or like a guy wants to be an actor, he's pointing out whoever, you know, got a break, you know, when they were 18, and saying, look at this guy, he's a millionaire when he's 18, and everyone wants it to be now. No one wants it to, you know, take a few years, but in reality, for the majority of people that are going to be really good at what they do, it comes in your late 20s or even 30s, you know. So absolutely, I think, yeah, you're in a good spot. So speaking about gyms, you're fighting out of Scorpion Fighting Systems over there in Michigan, and I think that you've got some people. No, you're not anymore, or you were at one point.
No, yeah, no, I was. That's where I started. You know, that's where I started my career. I moved gyms. I moved to Denver, Colorado. I train at Factory X now. I've been training there. I did my full fight camp for my Contender series here in Denver, and you know, I have a house here and everything now. So yeah, this is home away from home now.
That is awesome. I did not know that. Forgive me. Sherdog once again. Okay. Sherdog once again leads people astray by still showing Scorpion Fighting System on your file in Sherdog. Yeah. It's so weird, man. You would think, and I know they do their best. I'm not trying to trash Sherdog, even though they are a competitor. But you know what I think, man? Just an FYI, it almost seems like sometimes they wait for the fighter to notice that something's wrong and to tell them. So not that it's a big deal, but if you ever have time, hit them up and let them know they need to swap out Scorpion fighting systems with Factory X. You know, and
I will do that.
Sounds good. And but hey, check this out. You are not the only Factory X guest tonight. We have you're the first guest of 3. Our last guest of 3 tonight is Dustin Jacoby. Is that a team? That's your teammate, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Dustin. He's the man.
Nice. He's
got a big fight this weekend.
He does, man. What do you think about that fight? Now, Dustin has already had a few UFC fights, I think, right? And I think he's like 2-0 or 3-0. Do you know?
He is
2-1, maybe.
No. Well, Dustin had quite a few UFC fights, like probably like 10 years ago.
Oh, that's right.
He was in the UFC, and I mean, it was one of those things where we just talked about, just maturity thing, and
right.
Just a little too young,
Right.
No, I think Dustin is 1-0 now in the UFC
since he's come back. That's right, Justin Ledet.
So he fought on Dana White's Contender series a few months before me.
Yep.
And then won pretty viciously in his debut with those leg kicks. I don't know if you watched that. But,
yes, I did. And his opponent Ledet was fighting really hard. Ledet had went up against a bunch of tough guys, and Ledet's back was against the wall, and he looked like he was serious about winning that fight. And Dustin just denied him, by really showing up. So yeah, that's cool, man. I'll mention to Dustin that you were the first guest of the show. That you said, hey, so Factory X, man, they've got some killers here. And not only that, but I think doesn't Factory X, being that you're in Colorado as well as Elevation, don't you guys sometime train with the Elevation guys as well?
No, we don't.
At one point, maybe I thought.
Maybe at one point, maybe before I was there, but honestly, we fight a lot of those guys. Like the guy I fought on Dana White's Contender series, he was from Elevation.
Interesting.
And then the guy Dustin fought was also from that team.
Interesting. And that's still close to you guys.
Yeah.
Who remind me who all else is on Factory X? You got some really great guys, don't you?
So we got I mean, shoot, I was just going through it in my mind the other day. We have probably like 15 guys in the UFC right now.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, we got Anthony Smith, obviously Dustin,
Neil
Vince
Magny,
Cachero,
right?
Neil's at Elevation.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I'm sorry. How about Brandon Royval?
Oh, it's fine.
Brandon Royval.
Yep. So we got Brandon Royval, Alex Hernandez. Yep. We got 3 guys fighting this weekend. So Alex,
nice. Devontae Smith,
and Dustin.
Yep. Devontae Smith, Yusef Zalal,
Gutierrez.
Yep. Man, there's a ton of killers.
Jonathan Martinez. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. We just have like a gym full of monsters, and even the guys that aren't in the UFC yet, or like we have a few guys, or we have a whole team of amateurs that, I mean, I honestly believe they could beat some of the guys in the UFC right now. I'm not even kidding.
Wow, really good guys.
The level of talent in that room is just incredible.
Absolutely.
And then obviously the coaching staff with Mark Montoya is, I mean, it's awesome.
Absolutely, an amazing team. That's really great that you landed there, man, because that's really important. I mean, tell me your feelings on this. Obviously, I know you'll agree, but to me, if you take a guy, and I'm not talking about your last camp, Scorpion's a smaller camp, but they've got some good people there, but let's just not even talk about Scorpion. Let's just say someone's training with his brothers and his cousins in the garage or something, and they all wrestled or something. The difference between that and training at a place like Factory X is going to be really, really significant in the results that the fighter gets, don't you think?
Absolutely. And, I mean, if you think about it, Scorpion Fighting System got me to Dana White's Contender Series. They,
Yeah.
you know, they have Josh Parisian there. I mean, it's a great gym, and I love everyone there. They're family. So it really is a great gym. But just the difference in the main difference is the I would say like the culture at Factory X, and then the like the amount of guys at my weight.
Right. I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
The amount of like world class guys at my weight at Factory X, you just can't beat that. You know.
Yeah, without a doubt. And then the altitude, man. Tell me about that. Now everyone knows that it's higher altitude and it's harder to breathe and it makes guys ready. But tell me a little bit from a Michigander like you are. What's the difference? What's the difference in living and training in Colorado, and how does that make it better or easier when you go back down to sea level to fight? What's the feeling, and what's it like?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. It took me so long to get used to the elevation. It just, you know, I moved to Denver thinking I had like pretty good cardio, and then it took me a long time to get on these guys' levels. You know, I haven't been back like to Michigan yet to train. I've been back a couple times, but I haven't trained there yet. But just for example, I mean, Las Vegas is I think like 2,500 feet up, so it's not like sea level or anything. But
right.
Just fighting in Vegas, I felt a huge difference in my cardio. It's a huge advantage.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you know, I've never been to one of those really high altitude places. Let me ask you, I'm not, you know, I'm definitely older than you, but I'm not like a senior citizen, you know, definitely that far. Would you think that like if your grandparents went to visit you in Colorado, would you be afraid of their ability to breathe? Like how extreme is it? Maybe for like older people.
Yeah, I would say, you know, I wouldn't be like scared for them, but like they were, you know, just walking around and stuff, they'd probably be completely fine, you know. But like, I mean, I went to Breckenridge like a couple weeks ago, and that's even higher up. I went there with my wife, and just walking up the stairs, like, you know, of our hotel, I was like out of breath. I was out of breath. So and I train every day,
right?
So that was kind of like mind blowing. But yeah, like my mom just visited last weekend, and you know, she couldn't really tell. There was no difference, but you know, she wasn't doing any like strenuous activities or anything like that.
Okay, that's the key. So if you don't really exert yourself, you're not really feeling it that much.
Exactly. Like, but you know, like I said, if you're gonna like walk up a few flights of stairs, you'll feel it for sure.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So are you the only one of your siblings that was a really good athlete, or did you have brothers or sisters or cousins that were good athletes?
Yeah, so my brother, he wrestled growing up and played hockey. Then but he quit before he quit like his freshman year of high school. But growing up, you know, he did all that. And then my sister was a figure skater and cheerleader, and she was just an athletic girl. My dad was a huge wrestler growing up, like just like a really good wrestler. You know, got a scholarship and did you know, did a lot in wrestling, and so he really pushed all that on us, and in a good way though. But yeah, I mean,
definitely runs in the family.
It definitely runs in the family. And then like my brother-in-law, he's been he's been with my sister since I was, you know, a freshman in high school, and he was a professional hockey player. So He played all 4 years at U of M, and then he played in the AHL, and then went overseas and played. So he was always a big role model to me throughout my athletic career. Just to see him do all these amazing things in his sport.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you have any favorite fighters that fight in the UFC? Are there any people whose style that you feel like yours might be similar to? I know you're your own person. You're not trying to copy anyone, but are there any fighters, whether they're retired now? I know you mentioned Arlovsky, or active, that you really were or are still impressed with?
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't know. They don't really match my style, but I love watching them fight. Like Max Holloway, I've really enjoyed watching his career so far. He's a really fun fighter to watch. Obviously, Khabib's always a entertaining fight.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of like someone who. I would say growing up, like GSP was like my favorite fighter.
Yeah, I really like GSP a lot.
I loved watching him fight.
Absolutely.
And I thought that, I thought that like his entire like game, he was good on the feet, but then he was an animal on the ground too. Like his wrestling was great, and he wasn't even like a really accomplished wrestler.
No.
Growing up, so to see him do what he did was pretty amazing.
It really was. I mean, he didn't even grow up in the United States in the wrestling program at all. I think he only started training in wrestling when he was like 18 or 19 or 20 even. And just the guy was just such a phenomenal athlete and so driven. Man, do you think there's any chance we will see that Khabib versus GSP fight? And if so, how do you think it would go down? And do you think now that GSP is 40, it would be a big difference as if, let's say, GSP was still like 34, 35 or something?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't see it happening. I just don't. I don't know. It doesn't even sound like Khabib's coming back.
Yeah.
They obviously everyone has their opinions on that. Like, some people say he is, some people say he isn't. I don't think he's going to. He seems like a man of his word, and he told his mom, he was done. So I would imagine he's going to stick to that. But and then GSP, I mean, he's like done everything. He's got. Does he still hold like the most title defenses or no?
For middleweight, for welterweight, I know yes. For welterweight,
yeah, and then And then for him to come, retire and then come back and then win the belt again, even though he was fighting in, older Michael Bisping, I mean, he's still fighting the champ and won.
Yep. At middleweight, that was super impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see why he would come back.
Yeah, right. I agree. Not only that, but I think if he was like a smaller guy, if he was, because early on he wasn't the biggest welterweight, but he was never a small welterweight. And I think in his later years he was a big welterweight. And I think that if somehow he felt with confidence he could make 155 and be strong, then you could maybe see he would be the only guy ever to win a UFC belt in 3 different weight classes. But to me, the guy was thick and big at 35 years old as a welterweight. How is he going to be smaller at 40 years old? You just, that 55 would be a hard cut for him, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think he could get it done. I mean, he's like, he's kind of like a crazy man with the way he can fluctuate in weight.
Yeah, his discipline's incredible
and still look good.
Yeah.
Like he fought Bisping at middleweight, right?
185.
I mean, middleweight.
Yep. That was amazing.
So I mean, it's just and he looked good. So I think he could definitely do it. It's just, I mean, Khabib's a just a completely different animal.
Yeah, he's a beast.
You know, I don't see, like, you know, you wouldn't want, I wouldn't want to see GSP come back for that fight and then you know, take a really bad loss, and that be his last fight.
I agree. And at 40, the odds would be against him. If he was like 35 or 30, it would be a miracle fight, which maybe he might even win. You know, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, in the last 5 or 6 minutes we have with you, can I pick your brain, get your predictions on some fights that are coming up this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. But just so you know, there might be some that I just have no clue.
Not a problem. I'll try
I'm not gonna lie, like,
not a problem. If it's someone you don't know well, I'll try to pick some of the bigger names. So I think if we start out, let's go to the main card. Do you know the girls that are fighting, Angela Hill and Ashley Yoder, at all?
Yeah, yep. Ashley Yoder, yeah, I do.
What do you think about that matchup? It's like an old school grappler versus striker matchup.
Yeah, I think Ashley Yoder will win that. I just think that she's been kind of like stepping her game up.
Yes.
The last few fights I've seen, I feel like she's improved in every single one of them. And I don't know, I don't know too much about Angela Hill.
Right.
I know who she is, but I can't, like, talk about her game really. But I do think, I think that Ashley Yoder's gonna. I think she has a good chance of keeping her streak going.
Yeah, nice. She's actually like a 3-1 underdog in that fight. I'm not trying to encourage betting, because you got to hold on to the money, especially when you're fighting and training. But yeah, man, I think she has a good chance as well. How about this next one with 2 top 10 guys? One of them has been on our show a few times. We're talking about Jimmy Rivera, the man they call El Terror, the Terror, going up against Pedro Munoz. This is only one weight division below yours. So I'm sure you probably know those guys. What do you think, man? Rivera and Munoz.
Well, both of them, I think both of them like aren't afraid to, step in the pocket and throw. They're both really well rounded. I think that, I don't know. I don't want to. I watched Jimmy Rivera a few fights ago. He looked really good. He fought Cody Stamen,
yes,
right?
And Cody's also a friend of our show who's been on here many times. That was a really good fight.
And that was a good fight. I think that, I'm gonna go with Rivera on that one.
Nice, I agree. Jimmy's a great guy. It's going to be a hell of a fight,
like I said, I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be a close fight. I think the odds have Rivera a slight favorite, but Munoz is a beast. That's going to be a great fight.
Yeah, he is.
Definitely. And then finally, your opinion on the main event, the big man, the man from Suriname, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, the only man in the world I've ever heard with a last name Rozenstruik, going up against the Frenchman Cyril Gane, who apparently trains with Francis Ngannou, but also has subbed a few people. What do you think in that one, man? You got one guy who's like a pure striker against another guy who's like a kind of a kickboxer, but also has trained his ground a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Rozenstruik is obviously a phenomenal striker.
Yeah.
We saw him KO Alistair Overeem, right? He hit him with a right.
That was crazy.
With a right cross and put him down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with him. I'm gonna go with Rozenstruik. I don't really know too much about the other guy, and I think that if he's gonna be trying to get it to the ground, the whole time. I mean, like I said, I don't know too much about him. You said he's pretty good at jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it's a lot harder to get those big guys down, especially if they're game planning for it.
Right, if they're practicing their takedown defense as well. Yeah, Rosenstruik's a beast. Funny enough, they're making the other guy about a 3-1 favorite, and Rosenstruik a slight dog, or not slight dog, but 3-1 dog. So it could be the same thing that happens in the Derek Lewis versus Curtis Blades fight, right? But I tell you what, if Rosenstruik wins, how exciting would it be to see Rosenstruik against Derek Lewis?
That would be crazy. It's so weird, Derek Lewis, like, I don't know, he's scary. Like, he was like not, I thought Blades was doing a great job. Like,
picking him apart, piecing him up.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just that one shot, that one shot power that he has.
Yep.
That will do what it did to Curtis Blades last weekend.
Yep.
That would be a crazy fight.
It really would, because both of those guys, all they need is one punch.
Yeah.
That would be.
And it's so hard too to predict anything with Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
For example, like last weekend, you'd be like, Curtis Blades is gonna piece him apart,
take him down, beat him
and probably get the win, and then that happens. So, and I feel like we've seen Derek Lewis do that so many times. It's hard to bet against him.
It is. It really is. He's a character, man. In his mid-30s, it just seems like he's getting better. He's easygoing. He doesn't really look like a super body type of a guy, because he's always got that midsection. But he's got that power, and he's obviously training, and got some pretty good cardio. So yeah, he's a beast. Well, I tell you, I really appreciate you giving me your opinions on these fights, Colin. And
absolutely,
I really appreciate you coming on. I know they're working on getting you a fight set up in the UFC. I know hopefully soon. Have you heard anything at all about anything upcoming yet, or no?
A little bit here and there, just like some spots might be opening up, stuff like that. Nothing like concrete, but just basically stay ready. This isn't really like, ideally you want a full camp, but unfortunately during these times, and being in my position, like a debuter, you just you gotta kind of like not expect ideal.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I can tell you with you being 28 is your body physically is in the best position to do something short notice. It's not that I'm saying you're Superman, but it's better than if you were 33 or 37, so I think you'll be fine. Yeah, I think you'll be fine. Well, let us know real quick what's the best place to support you on social media.
Yeah, everyone can follow me at Colin Anglin MMA. That's my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Sounds great. Well, Colin, you're a great guy. You have the name Colin like me. You're from Michigan like me, although I'm in California now. Those are great reasons to be cheering for you, and we will be doing that here, our entire team, at the MMA Power Hour. Hit us up if you get a fight signed. We can have you come back on the week before, a couple weeks before, to promote it. Awesome.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
All right. You have a great night.
You too, brother. Take care.
All right.
And that was Colin Anglin, another great Colin from Michigan, man. I gotta like that. I know he's the only Colin from Michigan that's in the UFC. I think he's only one of maybe 2 or 3 other Collins. I think they just recently signed Colin Huckbody, I think, but that may be it, or maybe there's one more. So I like it. See if we can get the name Colin some more love and recognition. So when I say Colin, people, when I'm giving my name at a restaurant or something, people won't be so confused and like, what the hell is that? We get a fighter known as Colin to be famous. It'll make my life better. So I'm cheering for that. Anyway, yeah, really good guy, Colin Anglin. Appreciate him. Seems like a cool dude. Easygoing, good Michigan boy, huh?
Absolutely. Hey, Colin, our next guest, what is her Skype?
We should have it, and it should either be probably Karate Hottie or her name, or the only other name it could be is that name up there for her husband, maybe.
Mm-hmm. I'm just looking here because it's not coming up. Yeah, so this is the fun of our live show. Sometimes we have this kind of thing happen.
Yep.
And you get to deal with Colin here. In the meantime, while he's doing that, I want to go ahead and say thank you to everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it every single week. Make sure if you're not watching us on Fight TV, that you go on over to the Fight TV app. It's just FITE.TV. You can download the app for free. You can interact just on the website if you don't want to download the app, and you can go ahead and follow us, favorite our channel. It's MMA Power Hour. Also, head on over to our social media once you get a chance and hit us up. It's just at MMA Power Hour on all platforms. And I want to once again bring up Nesa's Hemp. They have such an amazing full spectrum hemp oil. It's CBDA based. It's not CBD, it's CBDA. It's a special formulation that works so much better than any product out there. Make sure to check them out. MMAPH.nesashemp.com for the best discount you can get.
Absolutely. And our Canadian friends would say CBD, eh? You know, but that would just be one A. So for our Canadian friends, it would be CBDA.
The joke every single week. Colin drops it.
I do. I love it. I don't know why. I'm a silly guy. It's this dad humor that is just becoming my permeating me as I get older. So CBDA for all of you non-Canadians. CBDAA. For the Canadians that like to say A. I guess I'll drop that at some point, but love my Canadian brothers, some of the best people out there, some of the super awesome combat sports journalists, media people, as well as fighters. So big respect to them. I'm not ripping on them, but I like, it's all they're always known as saying A, right?
All right.
Anyway, I remember this cartoon. It was about Canada. It shows beer A was the bar. Beer EH. Beer A. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, are you seeing anything that's leading you to believe that that's frustrating? Because I know we've had her on a couple times before, and there's nothing maybe under her first name, even something.
Nope.
Maybe the zip code 515 over there.
No. In Iowa?
No, New Mexico. Iowa's 515?
515 area code. Yeah, that's Iowa.
She's probably sitting there waiting for us to Skype.
Probably, but I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, understandable. Ladies and gentlemen, like Adam says, this is live TV for you, and we're not hearing back from her manager. So we can either sit here and look like...
When was the last time we had her on?
It had to be 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
Okay. So
maybe
go ahead and carry this on.
I'll carry this. You
try to figure it out.
Look in December and
that's what I'm doing
November. Right now. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So what I'm going to do is recap a little bit of this past week's fights. Curtis Blaydes and Derek Lewis. Man, interesting fight. There is some interesting stuff going on where some jackass wrote to Curtis Blaydes trying to antagonize him, say, what, you're just waking up now? And that was like the next day or 2 days later. And people properly say that, like, to I guess if you friend request a professional fighter and they're kind enough to accept, then to go and rip on them after they've been knocked out doesn't make you a hero or a cool dude. It just makes you a jerk and a jackass. And so it's so easy for people to laugh at someone being knocked out and think somehow they wouldn't have done this or that. Like they say, it's usually the guys in the worst shape with a big pizza on their lap or a hamburger or nachos and a pitcher of beer that are yelling, "You suck," or "Oh, what a bum," or "Come on, that shot to the groin didn't hurt," or this or that. And so we're about having respect for professional fighters because it's very rare to find someone that's good enough to get to the UFC or to one championship or to Bellator, to these high level promotions. You got to be really, really good, and to try to rip on them. Okay, here we go. That should be it there. Okay, and so anyway, we believe in respecting the fighters, and no matter if they get knocked unconscious or not. And anyway, so big respect to Curtis Blaydes. He was piecing up the big man Derek Lewis, and I think he just felt confident that he was kind of in the groove, so he kept the fight standing. And I think the longer he kept the fight standing, the worse it was. And Derek Lewis is very deceptive. Like one of my
100%.
friends mentioned, he lulls you into believing.
It happened like I thought it would.
You did call Derek Lewis by knockout in the second round.
In the second round,
Yeah.
and it was on the about third attempt after takedown. So it happened the way I laid it down.
Amazing, you did. The doctor, Adam Roorda, we call some stuff here, but I didn't. I had Curtis Blades in that fight, and the way it
My heart was 100% with Curtis on that one. Curtis is such a great guy. He's so talented. I really thought that, generally speaking, all the ways up until his interview with Ariel, I really thought he was going to take it, but just when he spoke with Ariel, it kind of gave it away, and I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And he asked me some good questions after the show last week. Yeah, I'll give her a call here, Colin. Let's see. We should go in the Skype dance.
Yeah, let's do
it. Skype dance.
Hello, Michelle. Can you hear me?
I can.
There you are. Awesome. And you got video. Great. As long as you can.
I was just gonna ask if it's just audio or if it's video as well.
Yep, definitely video. Although you may not be able to see us, but then when you watch the show after, you'll see the graphics are great as usual, and split screen and alternating screen. Anyway, let me give you a great introduction as we are live, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so happy to have this next guest back on the show. She is one of my favorite guests. Been a fan of hers literally since before she was in the UFC. She's not old. She's not old, but I've just been a fan. I've just been a fan for so many years of women's MMA and women's fighting and Thai boxing. So happy to have her back on the show. The awesome UFC strawweight known as the Karate Hottie, Michelle Waterson. Welcome back, Michelle.
Thank you for having me. And I guess if you're talking about fight wise, I guess you could call me old. I've been around for a while. I've been fighting professionally for over 13 years now, 14.
Yeah, definitely doesn't make you old, but makes you experienced, definitely. And you're still absolutely looking great and fighting great, and you have so much experience. I remember back to when you started out fighting Muay Thai, and as I mentioned to you, I watched you on Fight Girls on Oxygen Network, which was amazing. Also with Felice Herrig and Gina Carano was the coach, and Lisa King and some other amazing people, right? And so I've been a fan of yours for a while, but I remember when you first started fighting MMA, striking was your background, and I think it was on HDNet Fights, which was before Access TV, where you caught that amazing armbar in one of these fights in a smaller promotion, and everyone was like, what the hell, Michelle Waterson catching an armbar? And we're like, wow. And they're like, look at that. And I remember that was like a highlight reel, I think, because people were like, how does this girl who is a Muay Thai girl catch such a slick armbar in MMA? Do you remember when that was and what promotion that was in?
If I am thinking about the same armor that you're thinking about, I want to say it was on it was a Strike Force fight. And
okay.
That's the only time I had fought for Strike Force. And if it's the same one we're thinking about, I went to kick her. She caught my kick. And I knew we were going down, and I figured, hey, we're going down. I might as well capitalize on this position and try to get this armbar. So it was kind of like a mix between a flying armbar, slash, just get my leg over her head armbar. And I won the fight. It was so amazing.
That was awesome. Was that your first win by submission?
No, actually, it's funny. My fight name is the Karate Hottie. I have a background, a foundation that's probably better for me to put it now in karate, American freestyle karate. But since then, I love all martial arts. And so, after I got my black belt in karate, I started studying Kempo. Even when I did karate, we worked grappling. And I just have really good, dexterity in my hips. And so that it was just a benefit to me, learning, Kempo and then wushu with the explosive movements up and down, and then going into Muay Thai, getting on Master Tadi's show, and then finally moving out to Albuquerque where I am now and getting a well-rounded MMA style.
Yeah.
But I have the majority of my wins are by submission. I don't know about any more, but I have quite a bit of wins by submission.
That's true. You really caught onto that well, and you're right. It wasn't just a Muay Thai background. Forgive me on that. It definitely was karate before that, as you can see. And in fact, let me ask you about that. You know Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
So he has that unique karate style, kind of like you have, kind of like, you know, Lyoto Machida. And it's really like, I think he was even doing a lot of the point karate. I don't know if you ever did that or if you were doing forms or both, probably both to get to be a black
Yep.
belt, right? But one of the things that, like, a couple fights that he lost, one of the things someone pointed out to me, and I know a guy who's a really, really good striker. This guy's amazing. He's not a professional fighter, but he fought smokers years ago, and he is like, he's 40 years old. He can still do like a handstand on one hand, you know, up in the air, like, you know, headstand. He's like kind of like you, like an amazing athlete, except he's older than you by several years. And I asked him, I said, what could Wonder Boy do that would be helping his game, if possible, that he could make his game better? Not that it needs to be, but he said, you know, if Wonder Boy could incorporate some Muay Thai along with his karate and be able to get the distance when it came in close and be able to start doing some clinches, some head plums and some knees and some elbows, that would make him like absolutely scary. And I said, okay, but I said, is that something that probably at his age he can start getting really well? And my friend said, you know, he probably's not going to want to take the time to do that, and he probably wouldn't get it that well at this age, and he's already great. But let me ask you, when you went from the karate background to Master Toddy's and that Muay Thai, that must have been really weird because it's so different from the karate, but it looks like you kind of got it and kind of incorporated some of that. But you weren't in Muay Thai for very long. What, maybe 3 years, and karate for like 7 or 10 years before that? Tell me about like the amount of time in both and like what your thought was about going from karate to Muay Thai.
Well, I do pride myself in being a student. I do think that Wonder Boy is a student as well to martial arts. Although, habits that are instilled into us since we're young are hard to break.
Yeah.
And you just have to be persistent in trying to break those habits. When I fought on Master Toddy's Fight Girls, I almost wish that I stuck more to my karate style because it would have been more beneficial to me in the fight scenario, because
Right.
all the girls were traditional Muay Thai, and if I could break that rhythm, then I could win those fights.
Right.
But instead, I was so focused on immersing myself into Muay Thai and understanding the art of Muay Thai and trying to embrace all of that it actually kind of kept me back. But looking back at it, I think it was a great learning experience for me. And I think with anything that you try to pick up, you have to cut yourself some slack. You have to be persistent, and you have to understand it's kind of like I feel like everything goes full circle. For a long, long time, I stopped even going to my karate in my MMA fights because it was putting me in dangerous situations, dangerous positions. And so I just was working on the things that Coach Jackson and Coach Wink were teaching me at Jackson Wink. And it only has been within these last couple of years where I am confident enough as an MMA fighter that I can now incorporate the things I learned as a karate player into my professional career.
And that definitely helps because it really does blend two great styles together, the karate background, the standard karate, and the great kicks that you have, and the great limberness and the distance from that you're able to keep along with the Muay Thai. And so I think that is a great thing. We have a guest from England saying hello, watching from England. Don the Man, welcome. I'm glad you're watching the awesome Karate Hottie. She says hi too. And yeah, so we really appreciate y'all. So, and then you started to get the jiu-jitsu, and that was totally different. Actually, you know what? Dan, I think from England, has a question for you. What has been,
Okay.
all right, what has been the best highlight in your career, please? He asks.
Oh gosh, there's so many great stories that that I can think of. I really do. I'm really proud of my performance. This very last performance. I really feel like I've been able to like rise above, and I do pride myself in being able to rise to the occasion. Angela and I were not meant to fight for the main event, but within a week's notice, we accepted the challenge. We went from 3 5-minute rounds to 5 5-minute rounds. We got fight of the night, and I won that fight, and it really, proved to myself that this is where I belong. I belong at the top. So that was, a memorable fight for me. It was like, a great performance on my end, just both technically and just heart and grit towards those championship rounds. I think about the fight with me against Jessica Panay in Invicta when I was the contender, coming in to challenge her for the 105 belt. That is one of the fights that also stand out to me because I was a huge underdog, 10-1 underdog. I was coming, no belt BJJ coming in, getting ready to fight a brown belt BJJ who was the champ, and nobody gave me the time of day, and I actually got to beat her with the submission.
Yes.
So,
I remember that. What was that? An arm triangle choke from the top, or remind me what that was? Was that it, or something else?
It was actually an arm bar, but it wasn't a complete arm bar. I was trying to transition to her back, and was squaring back up with me. I caught her arm and I just wrenched it.
That was that was amazing because like if they were doing prop bets, you submitting Jessica Panay, a brown belt, would have been like a payoff of like 1,000 to 1 probably because
right?
What were the odds? Were you concerned about that fight? Like were you? I mean, because obviously, as you know now from training jiu-jitsu for many years, is that the closer you get to someone else that knows jiu-jitsu, the more danger you're putting yourself in. So if you're tying up with someone, if you're getting close to someone who's a way better jiu-jitsu player than you, it is pretty dangerous. Now, you obviously had confidence in yourself, but as far as the level she was at, it was definitely a higher level. Were you just like young and saying, what the hell, or were you just like, confident that even though you didn't have any belts yet, that you really had the athleticism down? What made you think to try to submit Jessica Panay, a brown belt?
I think on paper she was better than me, but I had the experience behind me to grapple with her. Like I said, like with all my wins, like I actually, when we squared up to fight, I had more fights under my belt than she did, and I had the same amount of submissions under my belt than she did. The more I got to talking to my coaches about it, they're like, she's a brown belt, okay, and how many fights have you won with submission? It's different fighting a brown belt in a BJJ battle versus fighting a brown belt in an MMA match. This is MMA.
Right.
And so it does change the dynamic of it when punches are involved, striking is involved, takedowns involved, the cage is involved. There's so many different like variables that go into an MMA fight, and when my coaches put it that way, my confidence just shot through the roof. And I'm not gonna lie, I did have a bit of a chip on my shoulder. I was a bit I was a bit salty going into that fight because I was like, why doesn't anybody see how good I am?
Right.
Just go out there and I'm gonna do me, and I'm gonna win the fight.
I like that.
It went in my mind, it was like that was the only option, was to win.
You had that young warrior intensity going with you, and you still have that intensity, which is important. But yeah, that was great. That was a great fight, and that was an atom weight fight, wasn't it? Or was that up at straw? It was atom weight, right? I think.
Atom weight, yeah.
Yeah. What did you think about?
I started my career at straw weight.
Right.
And then because that's all there was. There was just like there wasn't enough girls to fight, so I just had to get in where I could fit in.
Right.
But then when they started having 105 fights, that just was a better match for me. And then when the UFC opened up the strawweight division, I was like, if I'm going to fight, I would love to be able to fight for a platform that that has millions of eyes on them. And so I decided again to rise to the occasion and take the challenge.
Absolutely. If atom weight was brought in, and I asked Dana White directly after one of the fights where I was in the media section at a post-fight press conference, and he did say they are thinking of it. Obviously, if this question was asked to you 7 or 10 years ago, I'm sure the answer would have been yes. But at this point, would there be a thought of looking at that if they brought it in next week or 3 months from now?
You know, I spent since I signed to the UFC, I've been dedicated to putting on good muscle and to rising to the top at the 115 division, which in my opinion is probably one of the most stacked divisions in the female roster in the UFC.
Yes.
And so I'm not gonna say no, because you don't ever want to shut a door that you have no idea what's behind that door. I don't want to say no to any opportunities that might present itself. It definitely would have to be worth my while to go back down to 105. I'd be cutting into a lot of muscle, but definitely if it is worth my while, if maybe I can be one of the coaches for a tough show, and then after the tough show, fighting for the belts, that would definitely be worth my while, in my opinion.
Absolutely. That makes sense. Well, if that presents itself, that would be awesome. I got a question from another fan for you. What is your opinion, and what thoughts do you have on the Paige VanZant bare-knuckle fight that she had a couple weeks ago, and just on her doing that, and the whole thought about maybe if you would ever do it, or your opinion on bare knuckles and let's say women fighters jumping into it?
Oh man, you know what? I did. My husband and I tuned in, out of curiosity, and plus, Paige and I fought, but I am still, a fan from afar. I wish nothing but the best for her and her career and her life. And so we tuned in, and I thought she actually did really well. I thought her boxing has crisped up. I was anticipating her to be a little bit more reckless, because her style is very aggressive coming forward, but she wasn't. She was very patient with her striking. She was, she knew when to strike and when to be defensive. And so I commend her for going in there and taking very minimal damage. She did lose, but it was a good showing, in my opinion. It was a good showing for her. And like at the end of the day, like, she didn't lose. What did she come away with that, with that one fight, $250,000?
Yeah,
like,
more even, yeah. You're right, after paying out her corner, probably, yeah, $250,000 or something like that. Yeah, definitely. Sorry to interrupt your flow, but yeah, definitely. So it was a good business decision. Do you get the feeling, like, off of that fight with her not winning, that was a one-off? And I know you don't have any insider information, but if you had to predict, are we going to see Paige VanZant back in bare knuckles again, or do you think that was a one-time thing?
No, she'll be in it again, especially, like I said, I've seen her take more damage in an MMA fight. Her damage was super minimal, and she fought a smart fight. Now that she knows, she has a different appreciation for that sport, and I think she'll go home, make some adjustments, maybe be a little bit more aggressive a little earlier on, and come back a little stronger.
Absolutely. Our fan from England is asking for a kindness. He's going to have his vaccine tomorrow, and he's very nervous. Ask if it's possible you could shout out a good luck to him. I'll shout it out also. Good luck to Dan, the man Smith from England.
Well, good luck, Dan. Don't be nervous. After you get the vaccine, I think, it'll be a weight off your shoulders, and you'll feel like you can get out and about and do things.
Thank you so much for that, Michelle. He said it would make his evening, and I'm sure he's going to write again that it has. We really appreciate that. It's crazy times. It really is, isn't it? And for fighters, with all the pandemic stuff and fighting in front of no crowd, and, it's just, very weird times. And speaking about that, I think you have a fight signed, right? Or no?
I do not. I was actually supposed to fight in January, and we had family matters that we had to take care of. That was more pressing. And
understood. Who was that against, may I ask?
I was supposed to fight Amanda Rivas.
That's right. Wow. Now, is that a fight you would like? Although it's interesting now, she kind of got a little bit exposed by Michelle Rodriguez, not Michelle Rodriguez, by Marina Rodriguez. And I say that with all respect. In fact, let me even backtrack on that. Not exposed. She was a killer. She's an amazing fighter still. She did fight someone whose striking was better and who was very tough and who I think was underrated. and did not win that fight. But off of that, would you maybe be down for Marina Rodriguez, or what do you think of that fight there? Marina looked like a beast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think you're wrong in saying that she was exposed. You know, there are always things that expose our weaknesses when we go into a fight. And
Right.
so, and, you know, she had, Amanda had a lot of success in the beginning of her MMA career. And so, you know, rightfully so, there's a lot of hype behind her. And she's still learning and growing and developing as a fighter. And she just ran into a girl that had a heavy punch.
Yeah.
You know, so I would love to fight Marina. Actually, she's above me in the rankings now.
That would be awesome. That would be a sick fight.
Or even you know, ideally, I would like to rematch Carla. I thought that fight that I had against her was a bit of a dud on my end, and I want to redeem myself.
Absolutely. And I was thinking, funny enough, if they did bring in atom weight, that's something you and Carla could possibly like fight for the title, because you'd always think that Carla could have made that weight. I don't think she ever did, and maybe she wouldn't now, but love to see that fight again, because you're definitely still a super exciting fighter. Also, over at Jackson Wink, your good buddy Holly Holm does have a fight. Can you remind us who that fight is with coming up?
Yeah, she's fighting May 8th, and she's fighting Juliana Pena.
That's an interesting fight. Let me get your opinion, because I know you know UFC fights, and I know you know UFC women's fighting a lot, being a top-level UFC women's fighter. So if we backtrack a few weeks to Juliana Pena against Sarah McMahon. I had Sarah on the show. She's such a nice person. Have you ever met her?
Yeah, absolutely. She's, you know, she's she's a fellow mother.
Yes,
so
yes.
I know her, and I follow her, and I keep in touch with her.
Absolutely. She is a sweetheart. At 40 years old, she may be toward the end of her career, and also having to fly 15 or 17 hours. The older you get, the worse it is. I'm older than her, and she's 40, and I think, honestly, if someone was asking me to fly somewhere, even to watch a fight, and it was 15 hours, I might say, yeah, I might have to pass on that. So it's hard, right? It's hard on the body. And also, it was a short notice, right? I know, now I'm old and decrepit, but you would think, like I tell people, if you start flying on long flights, look and see how few people with gray hair that you see on those flights. There's going to be some, but if they're first class, because it's hard on the body. But anyway, it was a short notice fight. And
how short?
I think it was a few weeks, maybe not, you know, I guess maybe it wasn't the shortest, but it wasn't a full camp, but no one's getting a full camp during the pandemic, right? I think it was a few, 2-3 weeks or something. And then she had to fly over there, and I remember she was working out on the plane, and she did everything she could. And the first round was all Sarah McMahon. And then it looks like in the second round, I asked my friends that are wrestlers what happened, because Sarah's a wrestler. And my friends that are wrestlers said it looks like something just was totally gone coming into the second round. She wasn't popping up and down on her feet. She wasn't, you know, looking quick. She wasn't shooting low. It looked almost like, you know, the long plane trip or something hit her, because in the second round, it looks like what we saw in the first round kind of had gone. I'm not trying to rip on her at all. I think she's awesome. And at 40 years old, you know, she's a stud to be doing this. But I just think it's possible that, you know, that not to take away the big victory from Juliana Pena, but I kind of feel like just something went wrong with Sarah going into that second round. And I don't know, you know, what I'm asking for you to comment on that. You don't have to, but I just think that Sarah could have won that fight. She was winning that fight, and I just think something went against her, and I just think Holly's gonna own Juliana Pena. No hate on Juliana Pena, but you know, all right. But give me your thoughts, if you would, on the. Go ahead.
Okay, so my thought on Sarah McMahon and Pena is that I mean. We talk about it as if the fight is only, you know, physical, but it isn't just physical.
Mm-hmm.
It is very mental, you know. And so it can be a strategy of your opponent to try to, you know, break you mentally, to break your will, you know. And so, you know, your will has to break before you break. You know, your mind breaks before your body breaks.
Yeah.
And so I feel Juliana Pena is really good at the grind. She's really good at just sticking her head down and grinding out the fight. She's really scrambling. She's really scrappy.
Yeah.
She's really unorthodox in her movements. And for somebody that isn't used to training with somebody unorthodox like that, it can throw your game off, because it's like trying to dance with somebody that doesn't know how to dance. You're just like, okay, it throws you off. And and I could see that happening with Sarah McMahon a bit, where it's kind of like, all right, I've done everything I can, and this girl keeps coming at me, and then it's like you run out of answers.
Yeah.
And so that can be one of the reasons. Another reason is you're talking about the flights and stuff like that. There's so many different variables that go into it. But then I'm wondering, is that her first fight back after having her son?
Right. It may have been. It either was, or maybe one other one, and then I think it was also delayed as well. So I think she may have had to constantly been keeping it weight. I just think circumstances weren't super ideal.
So many, but at the end of the day, like, that's what fighters have to deal with on a constant. Like, there is no fight that you go into only having to worry about the physical fight.
Yeah.
You have to worry about your whole fight camp. You have to worry about media. You have to worry about fight week. You have to worry about travel, personal issues. If you got kids, you got to worry about your kids. Then on top of that, you have to worry about all these different restrictions with the COVID and what we can and can't bring, who we can and can't bring.
Yeah.
If the audience is going to be there with us, the cheers, we're not going to hear the cheers, but we're going to hear their corner. We're going to hear the commentators. There's so many things that go into it. And at the end of the day, like, if you lose, if you win, it's because all the stars align.
Yes. Absolutely. That makes sense. Really good analysis. I appreciate that. Well, Michelle, we've got about 3 minutes left with you, and I want to just get this one out first and then wrap it up by letting people know how they can follow you on social media. But let me get about a minute or maybe minute and a half on your thought. The big women's title fight coming up, the champ or double champ, as they call her, Amanda Nunes, defending her featherweight title against Megan Anderson. Give me your thoughts, but first give me a method of victory, how Megan can win that fight. And then maybe give me your thoughts on how the actual fight really plays out.
I don't think Megan has enough ring time.
Yeah.
To beat Amanda.
The pathway of victory would be hard to find, right?
There's a lot of catching up she would have to do. But you know what? A fight's a fight, especially in MMA. Anything can happen. I think Megan's best bet is to use her length, use her range, and keep her out with those long shots. Stick her with hard jabs and move. Stick her with those front kicks, and move. Don't let Amanda get anywhere near her. Keep her in her punching and kicking range, and out of Amanda's punching and kicking range. That and I can see if she is stubborn enough to stick to that game plan for 5-minute rounds, then I think that's how she could win.
Right. Now, is there any possibility, because we saw what Amanda did to Germaine Durandamy, taking her down like 7 times like a year ago, and not even giving Germaine that much of a chance to mix it up, although when she did, Germaine was looking pretty good. But someone told me that for some reason they don't think Amanda's going to try to do that same thing to Megan. They said, I think she's going to want to just show that she can just strike with this tall, lanky girl. Is there any chance that you think Amanda is going to say, you know what, I'm not even going to try to take this girl down. I'm just going to stand in the pocket with her the whole fight? And if she does, that would be Megan's chance to possibly win that fight, wouldn't it?
If Amanda decides to stay with her, it's because she's confident in winning the fight standing with her.
Okay.
Amanda's going to do what she has to do to win.
Yeah.
And Amanda's a heavy hitter. Like, she was willing to bite down on her mouthpiece and trade punch for punch with Chris Cyborg.
Yep. That's true. She's not afraid really of any striker. But I would think she would not deny herself the takedowns. I mean, she's a mixed martial artist, and I just have a feeling that there's going to be some takedowns. Or do you think it's possible we might just see Amanda try to go off there and finish her on the feet?
You never know. I feel like Amanda, it's fun. It's fun to get those knockouts. You know what I mean? So if she can rack a knockout, she can get a knockout, then she's gonna go for it. I don't see any hesitation on her end why she won it.
Absolutely. Quick picks on the other 2 title fights on March 6th. Israel Adesanya against Jan Blachowicz for Blachowicz's light heavyweight title. Piotr Jan defending against Aljamain Sterling.
I'm like, you know what? I haven't done enough film
Research
I haven't
on those.
watched enough
Right.
film on.
Yep.
I would go for Adesanya.
Yep.
In that matchup, and then who is Aljamain fighting?
Aljamain is fighting the champ Piotr Jan from Russia.
That guy is really well rounded and he's really fast.
Yep.
That's gonna be a good fight.
It is. I think Aljo wins it.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be
Who do you call?
I think Aljamain Sterling wins it. They call him Aljo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think he may get him down, but it's gonna be a battle. Because those dudes are tough. The lighter weight guys are fast, just like you lighter weight women are, and so that's going to be amazing. But yeah, Israel better be careful. What I was telling a friend that Israel for the first time is going up against a guy who's his height, give or take an inch, and a bigger man, and the Polish hammer Jan Blachowicz is just waiting to connect with Israel. And if Israel goes in there cocky and relaxed like he did against smaller guys at 185. I think possibly Blachowicz may just starch him, but we're going to see. Izzy is amazing. Well, Michelle, what's the best way to support you? Go ahead.
The thing I think about that is that, in Muay Thai, Muay Thai is basically like boxing with elbows and knees and kicks.
Yep.
And well, I guess I'm not saying boxing, but how else can I put it other than like Mexican style boxing?
Nice.
Is where it's just kind of like stand in front of each other and see who can take the most damage, and that's what Israel Adesanya has been doing before he came into the world of MMA. So he knows how to take a punch, and obviously we've seen that with his past fights against other contenders.
That's true.
So I don't know.
It's gonna be exciting. That much we know.
Yeah.
What's the best way to support you on social media, Michelle?
I am on all, across all platforms. It's Karate Hottie MMA. I'm really trying to get into TikTok. It's fun. I enjoy doing stuff with my little one and having a good laugh here and there. Trying to put more videos up on YouTube that are a little bit more in depth, and hopefully in the future here get some tutorials up and stuff like that, because just sharing knowledge, I think, is important. Absolutely.
I agree. And you are definitely one that has knowledge and experience and a great presentation. You're in amazing shape. You're a great warrior, and you look fantastic, and you speak tremendously well. So I would definitely encourage you to do that, because I think a lot of people could use your guidance, and I know I would watch. So thank you so much, Michelle. Karate Hottie Waterson, I really appreciate your time. It means a lot to me.
No problem, anytime. And I know it was kind of hard getting a hold of us, but I appreciate your persistence and getting it done.
No problem at all. My pleasure, and thanks to your husband, Josh. You guys are awesome. Really appreciate you.
Okay.
Have a great night.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye. And that was the Karate Hottie, Michelle Waterson. Dr. Adam Roorda, get ready. Our next guest, I think, is expecting a call. And always.
Hey, minute. Yeah. He's on standby. He knows.
Okay, cool.
I communicate when I can.
I appreciate it.
I try.
I appreciate all you do.
I'm waiting for a dad joke of some sort.
We're looking for it. I'm trying to find it. When I do, I'll throw it at you. I promise. But in the meantime, Dad.
Look on the ground. Maybe you'll find the joke there.
Let's see if I find it. The joke there. No.
Nope.
Oh, darn it.
Joke's on you.
I love it. That's a good one. That's a dad joke.
That was bad.
That was okay, though. I'll take it. All right. Whenever you're ready, let's fire away.
Yeah. Before we jump into that, I want to go ahead and give another shout out to everybody that it's just tuning in here. If you have not caught us over on Fight TV and you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to go on over to Fight TV. Now that's spelled FITE, and then it's just .tv. You can go download the app for free. If you don't want to download it, you can just use the desktop or even mobile version via the browser. That's fine, but you can go ahead and sign up for free and favorite us. That way you can keep up with all of our updates. And Also, hit us up on all of our social media at MMA Power Hour. Head on over to our website. We're still getting things set up. It's taken us a long time for me to get the rankings done right and ready to go, but we're getting ramped up here. Make sure to go to MMAPowerHour.com. Get signed up for the mail list while you're at it. And you guys are just the best.
You are. Feel the power. We appreciate you. Thanks, Pulsar Lights, for that comment. Great interview. We really appreciate that a lot. It means a lot. Thanks, Don and Jofo. I can't even read it.
Jofo in the ring.
Jofo in the ring, man. Keep in the ring, man. That's the key. That's the way we stay alive. We stay in the ring. Anyway, whenever you're ready, let's rock this next interview. Dr. Adam Roorda, let's do the Jens Pulver Skype dance. I think he did this about a year ago. Hey, Dustin, are you there?
What's up, fellas?
All good, my friend, all good. Well, if you could hit that video button, looks like an old-fashioned movie camera. My producer says you already did. Beautiful. And you'll see yourself.
I did. There we go. Yeah, I did. Here we go.
Beautiful. And you will see yourself, but everyone else will see you, and you'll be able to see all of us afterward. We are live. Let me give you a proper introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, so happy to have this next fighter on the show, fighting in the UFC with a fight coming up this Saturday against Maxim Grishin. We are talking about Factory X fighter Dustin Jacoby. Welcome to the show, Dustin.
Hey, fellas. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here and to be on your show for the first time.
Thank you very much. We are too, man. You join a group of top-ranked contenders and champions, and I definitely feel like your career has the potential to be both. And so we're happy to talk to you. We had one of your teammates on as our first segment. You're our third segment out of 3, and the first segment was Colin Anglin, and he definitely said good things about you and knew you. And I guess you guys are definitely different weight classes, but I'm sure you've seen him. He's probably kind of a new addition to the gym, huh?
Yeah, he's a newer addition to the team. A great addition, man. I love Colin, and just a great dude, a great friend, a great guy to be around. And man, I had never seen Colin fight before prior to his Contender Series fight, and that dude is an absolute dog, man.
Yeah.
He impressed the hell out of everybody at Factory X, and he represented us with class and just with pure badass, man. It was awesome watching him fight.
Absolutely. He's a really good dude. He's from Michigan like myself. In fact, both he and I are named Colin, and we're both from Michigan.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Man,
so
it was meant to be, man. I always say it's a beautiful thing when the stars align, and it sounds like it aligned right there.
It really did. I said to myself, even though he hasn't had a UFC fight left, and we don't normally have anyone on that doesn't have at least one UFC fight, I said, come on. I said, his name is Colin, like mine. He's from Michigan, like me. How can I ignore him, right? So, and Factory X, we didn't even know he was with you guys because Sure Dog, as usual, has the wrong affiliation. Not to throw them under the bus, but they're big. They don't care. Right? And, it still said Scorpion, and now he's Factory X. Factory X is such an amazing team. Who are some of the guys that got you ready for this fight? And not only that, but let me ask you, if someone asks you that, is that ever a secret? Is that ever something like a fighter would maybe rather not divulge or disclose? Or is that something that one's always are going to be okay with?
No, I'm certainly okay with it. And look, man, at Factory X, I think we have 18 fighters that train under our umbrella that fight in the UFC. And we have about 3 times that are on the mats daily, and guys that are coming up through the ranks and that are going to be contenders just like myself. So first of all, we're led by Mark Montoya. He's one of the best mentors in the game. I think everybody at the gym really looks up to that guy. He's like a father figure to a lot of us, and just an absolute great guy, man. A true mentor, a guy that when I step into the ring, when I go to battle, I love knowing that he's on my back and by my side. And guys in my weight class, we have a lot of good guys, man. We got Josh Fremd, who's one of my main training partners. I believe he's 8-1 now. He just had a huge knockout for LFA, and another guy that's knocking on the door of the UFC. He's in that 4-man middleweight tournament for LFA, and there's zero doubt in my mind that he's going to win that title if he doesn't get called to the UFC beforehand. We got another guy, Cody Brundage, who just had a huge win last weekend for LFA. He's another 85er. He fought at the Contender Series at 205, and unfortunately had a little bump in the road during a fight that he was absolutely dominating and just got caught, man. And he's another kid, young fighter, 6-1. He's going to be back. He's knocking on the door to be in the UFC as well. Another great teammate of mine, Austin Jones. He's a 170er, extremely hard worker, has one of the best work ethics in the gym. Super talented, athletic guy, and he's a guy. He's a little bit smaller than me, but it's good because he never stops, man. He always keeps me on my toes, always keeps me going. And we have this kid. I talk about him all the time. His name's Nerman. He's 6'4", 250 pounds. Has not had a fight yet. His first fight's going to be in March. But this kid's well above his years, way beyond his years. He's 25, 26 years old, moves like a middleweight, just a physical specimen, a freak of nature. I tell Coach all the time, man, he's got a fight coming up, but he's going to have to go pro right away. And I promise you, he's going to have to learn on the Contender series and through the ranks at the UFC at a light level because his competition is not going to be able to keep up. So a great training partner that I go with, and a big guy. Now I'm fighting at 205, so it's good to feel his strength and to train with him and groom him along the way. So we've got a ton of good guys, man, and all across the board, from 125 all the way up to heavyweight. So it's a great place to be right now.
Absolutely, a lot of respect. Always hearing great things about Factory X and Mark Montoya, and this guy Nerman. Will look up for him. He sounds like a beast. So yeah, you mentioned that you are at 205, and how many fights have you had at 205, and how many fights did you have at 85?
So I started my career through the amateur ranks at 205. I walk around about 212 pounds, so not that much more than the light heavyweight cutoff, but I've got a big frame. Frame wise, I'm as big as these guys. I might not have as much mass as them. But I think at 205, I'm a lot quicker, and I enjoy fighting bigger guys. I still have the power, and I think my speed really shows at 205. And I fought the majority of my professional career at 185. And while I was always the bigger guy, I noticed when I got to the higher level, those guys were just a little bit smaller than me, a little bit quicker than me. They were kind of beating me to the punch. I've had over 20 professional kickboxing fights, all under the glory band. And I fought again at 95 kilos, which is 209 pounds. So I fought some pretty big guys in that division, as well as rising through the ranks and competing for a world title at 87 kilograms, which is 186 pounds. So majority of my career has been at 185, but I feel, my move up to 205, I'm trying to pack on a little bit more size and just be the quicker fighter in there.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense, and it's good that you did have those kickboxing fights at, I think you said 209, which is 90 some kilograms or something like that.
Yeah,
that's
95 kilograms.
95 kilograms. Yeah, great organization, man. Didn't know you had that background. That is serious, and so definitely have the experience up there, especially knowing what the punches and the strikes feel like from those heavier guys, and that's important. Yeah, because your fight against Ledette, man, going into that fight, when you didn't have any UFC fights, you had the Contender series fight. Actually, you did. You had UFC years back when you were young. But I remember breaking down that fight between you and Ledette. And I'm looking at it because we take it really seriously. We have a panel of people at MMA Power Hour that put out our ratings and that break down fights and that give opinions. And we're not we know no one can expect anyone to have a crystal ball and to pick every fight right, because MMA fighting is really hard, but we also take it seriously to try to do serious breakdowns and pick fighters that make sense. And so I remember breaking it down with a couple of our people, and we were looking and saying, man, so here's Jacoby, who fought years ago at the highest level, and then is fighting a weight class higher and is just back to the UFC. And then we got Ledette, who's gone up against some really good guys but didn't beat them. And I remember one of our people said, man, Ledette is going to be fighting really hard. His back is against a wall. He's going to be going out there to kill Dustin Jacoby. And it kind of looked like that was his thought early on. It looked like he was saying to himself, I'm taking this dude out. And you were hanging in there, and then you just stopped him, man. You just denied him. Tell me what it felt like in there. Did it look to you like he was trying to catch you right away and take you out?
Yeah, well, fighting Justin Ledette, I knew that he was, likely fighting for his job. He came into the UFC at 6-0. He had 3 wins at heavyweight, which, in my opinion, man, I think he's better at heavyweight. Yeah. Again, it's like me fighting at 85, coming up to 205. I think at 205, he's cutting all that weight. I think at heavyweight, he's a good sized guy, but I feel like at heavyweight, he's a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Trying to come down to 205, I felt like I was beating him to the punch. I've got a really solid low kick, and my kicking game and my stand-up game is pretty crisp. And, it was developed at the world's biggest stage, at the highest level in glory. And, I often tell people I've been through it to get to it. People that don't know my story, I turned pro in November of 2010, and by October of 2011, I was already in the UFC at 6-0.
Crazy.
Happened super fast. I had 2 quick losses, and then I was done, man. So to get back, to fight back, 9 years of battling and going through my career and going through the ranks of kickboxing to get back into the UFC, that win was pretty special to me. Again, I was training for the best Justin Ledet there was, because I knew he was likely fighting for his job. And, I went out there and I just did my thing, man. I showed my experience. I showed to a lot of people on the Contender series that, I mean business. And then I thought my fight against Ledet was just a beautiful performance, man. My first Contender series fight, I was getting a little crazy. I fought with a lot of emotion. I really wanted to put on an exciting fight. And when I fought Ledet, I really slowed things down. I felt super comfortable in there. And I'm telling you, man, I'm coming into my prime. I've been through it to get to it. And I think right now, timing is everything. I think my time's right around the corner.
I agree 100%. The experience means so much. That's why it really, sometimes, in my opinion, isn't a favor to have a 21-year-old fighter in the UFC or a 23-year-old fighter in the UFC, because the maturity level is just not there. It can't be there. And I think,
absolutely.
Yeah, you have exceptions like John Jones, but I think the exception with John Jones was it was a different time. He kind of got in on the tail end of the fact that guys were maybe good at one skill set. And he came in there young, but he was such a big light heavyweight. He was so tall, he was so young, and right away he showed the guys that not only was he a really good wrestler, but he also had some good striking and knew his jiu-jitsu. And in 2010, that scared the hell out of everyone. Everyone's like, what the hell? This guy actually knows all 3 skill sets, and he's big and tall. And I think that it was like the perfect storm.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to mention the physical attributes that he brings to the ring with him. So just a phenomenal specimen.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not diminishing that at all, but it's just the reason I think that's like an anomaly. The amount of times, as you know, that happens, 9 out of 10 guys under 25 getting in the UFC are out by the time they're like 27. It just doesn't work. And so, but a lot of times, as you know, also, when they come back when they're ready, then they can really make it happen and make a career for themselves. And so, yeah, I think you're in a great position, man. You got a great camp at Factory X. Did you have a few weeks notice for this fight, or is this a real short notice fight?
No, I did. I knew 7 weeks ago. So we've been trying to get something on the books, and then I found out about 7.5 weeks ago that we locked in a date, and I've been preparing ever since, and I'm well prepared for this fight.
Excellent. Tell us what Maxim Grishin brings to this fight. They have you as about a 2-1 favorite, anywhere from -175 to -190. Speaking of which, are you a guy that looks at that? Are you an occasional gambler? Are you a guy that hates to even think of that? Or are you kind of somewhere in between?
No, I'm definitely a gambler, man. I love gambling. I love looking at the lines. I love looking at all the lines of the fights, and I follow the sport closely. And again, I follow gambling closely. I'm kind of a degenerate in a light way.
Nice.
I'm not losing my mortgage or anything like that, but I definitely gamble, and I have fun doing so. But yeah, it's always refreshing, looking at that line and seeing you're the favorite, man. It gives you a little boost of confidence. It gives you a little insight of what the odds makers are thinking. And, I was a heavy favorite against Ty Flores on the Contender series, and I absolutely knew they were spot on. I was a heavy favorite against Justin Ledet. I knew they were spot on. And like you said, I'm a little bit under a 2-1 favorite in this fight. And again, I think they're spot on, man. It's always nice to see that plus sign, to get a little bang for your buck. But at the same time, very refreshing to see you opening up as a favorite. And then I think it opened around like 167 on DraftKings, and it's just slightly grown a little bit. So that's always refreshing as well. But I think, with that being said, Max Grishin is a a crafty vet, a very solid veteran. You know, he's 31-8. You know, he's been around the ringer as well, and you got two veterans that have been at it. You know, my MMA record's only 13-5, but like I said, I had 20 professional kickboxing fights with Glory. I had my ups and downs with them, and then I went on a long winning streak with them, all the way to a world title fight with Simon Marcus, who in my opinion is one of the best in the world in our weight class in kickboxing. So lost a 5-round decision to him, and I had an immediate rematch and unfortunately broke my arm. So that was the last time I lost a fight, man. I'm going for 7 in a row. I've reeled off 6 wins since then, and 11-2 in my last 13. So I'm very comfortable. Max Grishin, I'm sure he's going to be very comfortable. It's going to be a battle of 2 vets. And, like I've said in other interviews I've had, is who has it more up here, who has it up more in the mind, and who's mentally ready to dig deeper and go further. And I truly believe that's me. Absolutely.
Well stated. And I think that you make a lot of really good points. So my producer just pulled up Maxon Grisham here. And you're right. He does have a ton of fights. Let's go back up a little bit more if we could, Doc. And the Dr. Adam Roorda is bringing us up to a little higher. And so he is 36 years old, so he's a little bit older than you. Akhmat Fight Team. Do you know, sometimes I see these guys from Russia, and their association is a team I've never heard of, but it doesn't mean they're not a bunch of killers. But have you heard anything about Akhmat Fight Team?
I really haven't, and to go on that a little bit further, Russian guys typically are killers, man. I expect a very hard fight with Max, and they're very good fighters. They come from a good background. I believe he's a little more domesticated. I think he's been in the States for a while. I think he used to train with Stipe Miocic in Cleveland, so I know he trained with him for a little bit, and so I think he's been around here in the States. I'm not familiar with his fight team though.
Right, and it looks like his last fight, Doctor, if you can pull that back up, I think he fought at heavyweight against Marcin Tybura, or am I mistaken? Yeah, that was his, Is he coming down from heavyweight?
I believe he's fought the majority of his career at heavyweight, but I know he fought in the PFL at 205.
Okay.
And I think he's 1-1 in the UFC. He has 1 fight at heavyweight and 1 fight at light heavyweight.
Okay, so his last fight against Gadzmurad and Antigulov, which he did win. Let me see. Antigulov's record was light heavyweight, and Antigulov I don't think is a killer. Let me see. 20-8. He's 4 losses in a row. Okay, so it's interesting. So he's going to go for it. But yeah, I think the odds makers look at it, and the more I look at the odds over the years, the more they are getting it right. I mean, there's always once in a while fights that are virtually even money, or one guy's a slight favorite that the other guy wins. But a lot of times when it's almost minus 200 or that, they usually are picking the better fighter. And I think you're that guy. I think that you're younger, you're fresher, you're motivated, you're with a great team. And but yeah, tough Russian dude. Have you fought any Russian guys before? It seems like some of them have similarities in that they're kind of grappling oriented.
Yeah, I've never fought a Russian before. I fought another thing. I'm very thankful for my Glory career, because I traveled the world fighting a ton of foreign guys. Yep. And, it's really molded me and gave me that experience. When I say I've been through it to get to it, man, it couldn't be any truer. I've been all over the world competing against these guys. It'll be the first Russian I fought, but and like you said, typically they are good wrestler, good Sambo guys, but Maxim, he's more of a striker.
Okay.
And with that being said, I think he's going to come out and strike, but these guys, they start seeing my stand-up and getting to know a little bit of my background and experience. I expect them, to start trying to take me down, but I'm very well-versed and prepared for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the weight cut went well. For someone 3 days out, you're sounding really strong, even being still in the midst of the weight cut. Sounds like you're actually having not a bad time, maybe even somewhat of a good time, if that's possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I've been eating, 3, 4, 5 times a day still. And like I said, I generally walk around 212, 214 pounds anyway. So, and I lose weight easy. I'm a guy that, I told my buddies, they're all giving me a bunch of shit because I don't have to do a weight cut, and they have a big weight cut ahead of them. I'm like, hey man, I fought the majority of my career at 85. If I had to cut to 85, Friday, there's no doubt in my mind I could still do it, because I've been drinking, a couple gallons of water a day, at least 1.5 gallons of water a day.
Right.
So, but yeah, the cut to 205, man, I'll probably wake up, Friday morning, 207, 208, and get a little sweat in my room, and then go jump on that scale and weigh in.
Nice. A lot of the old-time fighters like Boss Rutan really do encourage fighting closer to your weight, and I know over in One Championship they're doing that, and I know some fighters in the UFC are, but I support that a lot because I think you're strongest. You're not depleting everything. Sometimes when you're so dehydrated, it takes away the fluid in your brain, and I think that also, like you were mentioning, that as far as Ledet maybe being better at heavyweight, he may have been fighting really depleted for such a tall, lanky guy at light heavyweight, and you don't want to do that, and I'm glad you're not doing that. In the last few minutes we have with you, I think we got maybe 5 minutes, and I get your opinion on a couple of fights this weekend, since I know you're a big UFC fan and a bettor.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate it. Okay, let me start with, and since we only have 5 minutes, maybe some of these earlier fights just give me like 30 seconds. And then the later fights, you can give me a minute. So earlier fights for maybe a 30-second opinion. We're talking about your weight class here. 2 Russians, Nikita Krylov, if you will, against Magomed Ankalaev. Man, I cannot wait for that fight because Ankalaev just coming off that win over Kutalaba. Ankalaev looks almost like a bigger version of Zabit Magomed Sharapov, I kind of feel. And then Krylov is a beast also. What do you think in that fight?
Krylov is definitely a beast. Again, two Russian guys. I'm really looking forward to that fight too, man. They're both killers. I think Krylov's going to take it.
And he's almost a 3-to-1 dog. They've got Ankalaev minus, actually more than that. They've got Ankalaev like minus 345 to 365, and they've got
that's
Krylov.
Pretty crazy. I can't believe that for 2 fighters like that. Same with that Derek Lewis fight that just happened, man. I couldn't believe Derek Lewis was such a big underdog.
Right.
I had to take him.
Yeah, absolutely. No, totally. It makes sense. I agree. All right. How about let me see if there's any other guys in your card, and this is your card. Yeah, that's this weekend, your card. Also your weight division, Alonzo Menefield and William Knight. Any thoughts on those guys? That's kind of an interesting one. 2 shorter light heavyweights.
Yeah, 2 shorter light heavyweights, which I fully expect, a win on this card for me. I expect to maybe face the winner of that fight. I think I'm going to give the edge to William Knight.
Yeah.
I watched him fight. He fought my buddy Cody Brundage. I think I'm going to give him the slight edge, and I would openly accept that fight if we were both to get victories Saturday night.
That would be great. I would love to see that. I think that'd be awesome. All right, and then how about the smaller guys, and then we'll go to the main event. How about the co-main event? Jimmy Rivera, a really good guy that's been on our show several times. The man they call the Terror against Pedro Munoz, and Rivera's slight favorite, minus anywhere from 149 to 155, and the comeback on Munoz anywhere from plus 110 to 130.
I like the dog in that fight as well. I like Munoz in that fight, so. Another dog I'm taking.
Should be a close fight, though, don't you think? That should be really competitive.
Yeah, very, very close fight. Both guys are very good. I think Pedro Munoz, I just give him the slight edge.
Okay, makes sense. Give me a minute or maybe a minute and a half at most on this main event. Cyril Gane, the Frenchman that trains with Francis Ngannou, but he also has a submission game, throwing, I think, one of the few heel hook victories for a heavyweight. And the guy's got a ground game. He's a big dude, but he's not like a tank like Rosenstruck. But I think he did have a kickboxing background as well. And I think the subs are kind of more of a newer thing for him. And then he's giving away around 20, 30 pounds to the man who is just a tank, Jairzinho Rosenstruck. Give me maybe a minute, your thoughts on that, how that unfolds, and then a winner if you have one.
Yeah, man, I think Gane with that kickboxing experience, of course, I love the kickboxing guys, but again, going back to the speed advantage, he's a little bit smaller, but I think he's going to shock everybody with his speed. Yeah. I think that this other guy, he's relatively young. I think he's only 7 or 8-0.
Right.
Hasn't been challenged that much in his career yet. And again, a massive guy. There's no doubt about it. I think Gane, man, is going to be quicker, and I think he's going to surprise him with speed. I think he's going to beat him to the punch, man. I'm taking him again, another dog.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Gane's training partner, Francis Ngannou, did catch Rosenstruck. He stopped him early, and so Rosenstruck is like 8-1, so he does have that one loss.
Okay,
yeah,
8-1. Okay,
but he was
still
crushing.
undefeated.
Yeah, no, it was a huge matchup, and I was so excited. It was about a year ago with Ngannou against Rosenstruck. It was a short notice fight.
That's right.
Yeah,
yes,
and then he just caught him, man, and it was weird because they were
with
both
a crazy uppercut.
Yeah, they were both. Yeah, they were both throwing. And then all of a sudden, it's like Ngannou just said, "Man, I'm gonna bum rush this fool," and he started running at him, throwing, and the big man Rosenstruck was like backing up, which is really what you don't want to do. And I think he's never done that before, but I think he was like, "What the hell?" And then as he backed up, he just got caught and flattened.
Right.
But I would bet you that Ngannou can probably give Gon some information maybe on what he felt, although it's hard to give too much information if you're only in there for 45 seconds with a guy. Right.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, no, I think Gon is a beast. He may take that as well. It's going to be exciting. Well, Dustin Jacoby, I'm so grateful that you came onto the show here with 3 days left to your fight, man. I really appreciate it. What's the best social media place where people can support you and let them know that they're behind you and say hello?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at the Hanyak DJ. The Hanyak's my nickname. And that's the one I use primarily. Facebook's just for closer family and friends, and then Twitter's the same at the Hanyak DJ. So Instagram and Twitter is where you can find me.
And real quick, what does the Hanya mean?
So the Hanyak it's like a German saying. My grandma, I have a twin brother, and she always used to call us little Hanyaks when we were like acting out or being crazy growing up. She's like, "You guys need to calm down. You're being little Hanyaks." But it stands for. It's like a rebel without a cause, an aggressive athlete, kind of a crazy guy. But, before my first Glory kickboxing tournament, I never used a nickname. I'm getting my hands taped. They're like, "Do you have a nickname?" I'm like, "No, I don't." The guy's walking out of the room. I'm like, "But hold on, tonight I do." I was like, "Call me the Hanyak." And I had 3 fights in one night. I knocked out all 3 opponents, and the Hanyak just stuck, man. So it's really a tribute to my grandma and my twin brother, and we're just the crazy Hanyaks.
I like it, man. Well, I appreciate it a lot. Dustin the Hanyak Jacoby, you're a great guy. You make it easy to interview you because you have a lot to say and you know what you're talking about, and you got a lot of great energy, man. So I just want to give you props for being a guy that I think could have a career in front of the camera, commentating or being involved in acting or whatever, man, because you're definitely a sharp guy, and I want you to know that.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. I'm hoping to parlay my fighting career into that broadcast booth here one of these days with the UFC. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me on your show, and I look forward to being back after I get this victory on Saturday.
Absolutely. We'll make it happen, and our whole team will be cheering for you.
Thank you, guys. You have a good night.
You too. Take care. And that was Dustin the Hanyak Jacoby. Is that a cool dude, Adam, or what? That guy.
Absolutely. He very well spoken as well.
Oh, man. That guy was just flowing, man. We were flowing back and forth, and
he can carry it himself.
Yeah, without a doubt. I like that. And he knew the odds and all that. He's really upbeat. And I'll tell you what, also, like he said, he's not cutting a ton of weight. So it's hard for a lot of fighters that are cutting more weight to be upbeat or energetic when you're 3 days out. And not that he's not definitely making some sacrifice and not eating tasty food or drinking much, but I think it's to a reasonable level that you could see he's still himself. He's still got that energy and that Dustin Jacoby charisma. So can't wait to see that. And what's up, fam? Bro Dog, glad you jumped in here. Always glad to see you. And everyone else, good luck. Dan the Man Smith.
And before we go for the night, I'm going to go ahead and give my dog picks. I'm bringing up Bro Dog.
Dr. Adam Roorda Dog. Let's see
my dog picks. Definitely Yoder. I'm also going to be going with Munoz with a heavy heart. I want to see Rivera win, but I think Munoz is going to pull it off. I think Yoder's is going to pull it off, and I also think Thiago Moises is going to be pulling it off. Now that's a tough one to pull off against Hernandez, but I do see it kind of going in his favor. There's the 3 dogs that I'm going to go for on this card, and we'll see. See what happens here, Colin.
Well,
but
you're making a 3-dog night for people that are fans of old rock and roll.
Another 3-dog night, and we'll roll with it. But everybody that's tuned in, thank you so much. If you're on Fight TV, actually go on over to YouTube and Facebook. Check out the Hannibal TV. Check out MMA Power Hour. We're all over the place. For those of you on YouTube that have not checked out Fight TV yet, we are there. FITE.tv, and it's really awesome when you guys just drop a line everywhere across the board. That's what really helps build everything up for us. Our show's starting to become uber successful. We couldn't do it without you guys. It's taken a lot of practice. Colin and I came from pretty much nothing here, so I just really want to thank you guys so much. And Colin, thank you for another amazing episode. 3 great interviews in the can. Plenty of footage for me to use to put out for promotional purposes. Colin, thank you. And everybody out there, thank you. I'm calling it a night. I'm tapping out.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adam Roorda. You are the greatest, brother. Really appreciate your contribution. It is incredibly valuable and beyond what I can say. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we got 30 seconds, so I'm going to try to finish before we get cut off. Spread the love in a positive way. Be that guy. Be that girl. Take care of your friends. Let people know you got their back. Take good care of your pets and make sure they're warm. Have cold water and good food, because pets have